I came out of Saturday with two very distinct questions. Number one, is there a quarterback controversy at West Virginia? And number two, is Neal Brown, was this his biggest win? I think that's a fair question. Let's talk about that on Locked On West Virginia.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, guys? Welcome back in to Locked On West Virginia. I'm Mountaineer Paul, and I am your host. Thank you for joining along as we talk West Virginia football. This episode is sponsored by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. And thank you for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen every single day, guys. And for being part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we talk about your team every single day. It was ugly. It wasn't very pretty today. Defense certainly, I mean, it's light years ahead of what it's been at times. Sure, there were a couple broken plays. Sure, they gave up a couple big plays. But I feel like for his first call at defensive coordinator, Coach Koonz did a pretty damn good job. And he, inside of a week, helped fix a lot of things that I think we considered big issues. And look, let's just call it what it is, man. Cincinnati's definitely one of the better offenses we played this year. And this West Virginia team answered the bell a little bit. I mean, there were times when I was wondering what they were doing, but man, the turnovers, they just haven't been there under Jordan Leslie. And today they were. So hats off to that West Virginia defense. And especially, like I said earlier, when the Jordan Leslie news came down that he had been going to jail and was arrested, hey, look, you got to be proud of this defense or the way they played with that news coming in today, considering that you have to know a lot of those players are close to Jordan Leslie still. It's not like they hate him. It's not like they stopped knowing him as soon as he was the coordinator or as soon as he was gone. It literally, they found out somebody they were close to was involved in some pretty rough stuff today. Now, I don't know if he's guilty or innocent, but that impacts young kids and probably clouds their minds a little bit. So 31-24, West Virginia was pretty clear the better team today. There were times when Cincinnati was on offense that I started to wonder, are we going to be able to stop them like in the past? But time and again, they were able to confuse Brendan Sorsby, who was only a sophomore, same age as Nico, and he caused him to make mistakes. Things this defense did that they just didn't do under Jordan Leslie. Well, number one, Reed Carrico played a lot more today than he did under Jordan Leslie, in my opinion. And other guys in the secondary played more. KK Tarnu made a huge impact today. Hadn't seen him hardly at all this year. So there were some personnel things, and there were probably others I would really have to study the game to really know, and maybe others can chime in with some other names. Fagan played a little bit more, but KK Tarnu probably the single biggest impact of somebody I haven't seen that played on the defense today, and Reed Carrico, who was in on some really big stops. 14 is KK Tarnu. Somebody in the comment chat or the comments put down 14. But so Reed got his hand on that ball whenever he was off balance, because Sorsby he's elusive. He's very similar to Garrett Green, actually. He loves to get you going one direction, make a cut, and get you off balance. And that's what he was able to do to Reed Carrico. But Reed was still able to get a paw on the ball and get that thing poked out. That's something you coach. Remember what I told you guys? I think it was last week. In my opinion, fumbles, much like rebounding, is effort. It's all about how do you pull, scratch, punch at the ball. Those can make, they can make a difference. If you never do it, people are probably never going to fumble. If you don't put your helmet on the ball, or if you don't punch or swipe or kick it, whatever, kick at the ball, but you know what I'm trying to say. Kick, scratch, fight, claw. And it makes a big difference. And I felt like the West Virginia defense did some of that today. and that pass rush continues to get home. Unfortunately, we don't have the fastest guys back there. Once they get back there, they're, a fast quarterback can outmaneuver them back there a lot. But man, they did a good job. Offensively, it was more of a mixed bag today. Let's look at some of the stat lines here just to kind of get a better idea of what's going on. West Virginia still only 2 losses in the conference, 5-4 overall. It feels better, right? Nico was 9-15. They didn't ask him to do a lot, and I feel like he made timely, big time throws when he really needed them. Like Sorsby threw the ball 40 times today, and we held him to under 300 yards. We'll take that. Touchdown, 1 pick. Although, I mean, he had 3 turnovers if you consider 2 of them went back for scores. So really big on that. Corey Kiner held to under 100 yards, but I think if you add the Sorsby rushing yards in, they probably were closer to 150 yards. Gene White had 13 carries for 64 yards. I don't know what happened to him in the second half, but man, he just was I don't know if he got hurt or what, but he was kind of missing there. Justin Robinson, 2 receptions for 60 yards and a touchdown. You guys, if you watch this show, you'll know I've been calling for Justin Robinson to play week after week after week after week after week because you can't teach the 6'4", 215, 220-pound body frame that he has. And it was obvious on the downfield throw that he had. Like, he was so much bigger than the guy guarding him, and he's such a good athlete. He's very similar to Bryce Ford Wheaton, I would say, and has that kind of skill set. So I think, it would be exciting if he can continue to grow as the year goes on. If Neal's not, because look, after today, it looks like Neal's probably not going anywhere, right? I mean, we just have to accept it, guys. You're either going to be a fan of the team or you're not. AJ in Arizona, really, really awesome super chat. And I was supposed to turn that off again. Why do I keep doing this? So he says, big road win despite getting beat on the offensive side. 3 turnovers was a death knell for the Bearcats. So for those of you listening, super chats are amazing, and I'm so grateful. Locked On doesn't want me to take them, and I thought I clicked them off. If you want to support me or the show, you can do it so on Cash App or on PayPal, and I'll just put both of those in the chat really quick. Let's see. Okay, so those are both. The first one is PayPal, and the second one is Cash App. At Paul Rockle is I don't know why I put them both together, but at Paul Rockle is PayPal, and then ROCKEL 85 is Cash App. I'm really sorry, y'all. I meant to turn that off, but somebody's not going to put in $20 and I'm not going to read it. So thank you, AJ in Arizona. Very, very nice of you. Can't thank you enough. So I think, I put this topic up here. Is Neal safe? Obviously, we know he's safe. I think at this point in time, there would have to be a complete collapse against teams I feel like West Virginia is just better than down the stretch here, but it could happen. Don't get me wrong. If there's anybody so far that could do it, it would be Neal, right? Only he would be able to mess up Baylor, UCF, and Texas Tech. But I think, he's got to win the next 3 games. We hope he does. Now, 2 of these games I feel like are pretty winnable. Baylor is really hot right now, so I want to see what they look like today. But that's a game much like today where I feel like they could score a lot. UCF is a team I feel like we match up well against because they don't pass it a lot, and they struggle to pass it. Now, I don't know who they're going to play at quarterback by when we get to that game, but it had been KJ Jefferson, and I honestly haven't kept up with him to know different. So they truly don't have any passing attack, but they have a very solid running attack. They were able to put 300 up on a very solid Iowa State defense. So, and then Texas Tech, who, they're really hot right now too. But I think West Virginia's got a chance in all 3 of these games left. So I know a lot of you guys, I see it in the chat here, somebody saying they're still strong on Neal Brown leaving. But it's just, I think it's to the point to where at what cost? Because, like I said, I'm personally in the position, I'll just speak for myself, where I can either accept it and start preparing for next year and try to get excited about some things that we have going for us and hope that staff changes, because I think staff changes can help a coach. Absolutely. And maybe we need to make a couple. Maybe there's some stale stuff going on inside the program, and players aren't developing in certain positions, right? Especially on the back end of the defense. Everywhere else, you can say, has developed pretty well. Obviously, Chad Scott's done an amazing job with running backs. You look at A.J. Jackson, the defensive line. He and Matt Moore are like right here with each other with who's had the better development. Obviously, offensive line has been freaking amazing with Matt Moore. I mean, look how they pass protected today. I think something that never gets talked about with our offensive line is the pass protection. It's taken a step back on run blocking this year. It's taken a step forward in pass protection. Teams just don't get back there. The only time our quarterbacks come close to getting sacked is if they scramble out, where it's no longer the offensive line's job anymore. But I mean, Penn State, it didn't matter who it was this year. This team, our quarterbacks just don't get touched back there. It's really a shame we don't have like some Dana-type wide receivers this year, because we'd be able to throw it all over the place. Our quarterbacks have all day to throw it. It's unfortunate. So Neal's safe. There's no doubt about it. But I'll tell you who's not safe, possibly. And that's Garrett Green. I think it's a legitimate conversation that we need to have. And we'll have it next on Locked On West Virginia. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy, guys. Our friends over at 5 Hour Energy know that being a passionate football fan isn't just a hobby, it's a way of life. It takes a lot of energy to power through all-day tailgates, touchdown celebrations, or an agonizing second overtime. That's why they've created the Stand the Fan 5 Hour Energy Shot. With a special flavor called Fan Fuel, the energy shot made just for super fans like us, the fans who are first in the parking lot and last to leave. We see you. You know what else gave me a bit of a West Virginia fan fuel this week? How about the moment when Cora Tarnu picked off Brendan Sorsby when it looked like they were about to go ahead and took it all the way back? Or how about at the very end of the game, whenever he threw it behind just a little bit, we were able to score again? Just amazing plays. Huge plays for West Virginia this week. Gave me a ton of fan fuel. 5 Hour Energy knows that no matter who you root for, being a fan requires heart, soul, and a lot of energy. Whether you're prepping for the tailgate or ironing your jersey, your game day to-do list is always a mile long. That's why the limited edition Stand the Fan 5 Hour Energy Shot is here to help you keep fueled throughout the season. What's your fan fuel this week? Well, whatever it is, it has to do with 5 Hour Energy. Available at 5hourenergy.com, and it is shipped nationwide. Okay, so the important conversation of the day is Garrett Green or Nico Marchiol. This is not an easy conversation to me, because do you guys remember when Tim Tebow, and I don't think Nico is anywhere near Tim Tebow in throw, or like he's a better thrower than Tim Tebow, but nowhere near the runner, obviously. I think Nico was 9 of 15, and he could have been 10 of 15 today. There was one drop ball. He had a couple that were really high, but I felt like he played much better in the second half. And West Virginia just didn't have a lot of possessions in the second half. Cincinnati really had the ball for a long time in the second half. Time of possession was crazy. West Virginia only had 250 yards. If you told me that West Virginia lost the total yards 248 to 436, 156 to 279 passing, 157 to 92 in rushing, and the yards per play were about the same. Cincinnati had 26 first downs to West Virginia's 9. They were at 50% on third down, which is really bad. 8 of 16. West Virginia was 2 of 10 on third down. Time of possession, 34 to 25. Neal Brown got Neal Brown today and won because of turnovers, the ultimate equalizer. So I think the offensive performance wasn't great, But I think, would it have been better with Garrett Green is a fair question. It's not like he's this accurate quarterback that would have made like he's a guy that you run the ball with. The same question I will say I have had last week, I'll tell you for this coming week is, okay, if you're telling me that Garrett Green's totally healthy and he can take full hits without worrying about a concussion, then maybe he gives us a better chance to win. But I just don't trust his body to hold up. And if you're telling me that I have to rely on Garrett Green, the passer, versus Nico, the passer, well, look, Garrett's career is over and Nico's career is just starting. You may as well get Nico as much playing time and as experience as you can. And let's just figure out over the last three games, if he's going to be the guy or not. Because I think it's going to take at least that to really know what we've got with him going into next year. Because you can still pivot away from Nico if you really have to. I don't think he's proven that he's worth given the keys to just yet. But I also think he hasn't really been given the time to develop with what meager pieces we have on offense, and they're not very much. There's not much. Look, for any quarterback, right? There's just not a lot on offense for us guys. Rodney Gallagher has turned out to be a disappointment so far, and I hate to say it because we were all so excited about him. He has underperformed, and it's not even close. Cole Taylor hasn't even been as good as he would have been. Part of that's on quarterback. Hudson Clement, disappearing act. He may as well be running Honey Tutty's X account. Preston Fox, great on special teams today. Disappearing act. Like, where are our receivers? Traylon Ray even disappeared today a little bit. Part of that is we're playing with a new quarterback and stuff, and I get that. But just generally speaking, guys, we have very average to below average receivers. So I don't know that's a fair judgment of either quarterback passing-wise this year. So if I'm Neal Brown, one of the first things I do next year is I go get a true, which is what I wanted this offseason, was a true number one receiver out of the portal, and we've still yet to do it. Ever since Neal Brown has been here, we have not gone after a true number one guy out of the portal. I want us to do that. Now, we went and got some good players out of the portal. Like, who knows what Bray would have turned into this year? Maybe he becomes a much better player next year because he'll probably redshirt. Obviously, let me look at the stats one more time. Justin Robinson, I have to remember his name really quick. Obviously, Justin Robinson, I think, has a lot of potential. He has years left. I can definitely see him turning into something down the line. And then obviously Day Farmer, but he didn't get any playing time. So I don't know, man. But the thing is, Wesley, there was only 15 throws. So it's like you're talking about 2 throws, but the sample size is only 15 balls. So it's not like he threw the ball 30 times and you could say he only had 2 throws. He threw it 15. So I think while the first few throws were high and it obviously took him time to get settled in, he made clutch throws when he needed to make them. There were a couple throws I felt like were close. There were a couple times when I felt like our receivers, like you saw how many times did he, and this is something that a lot of people aren't going to remember about Nico, how many balls did he force into coverage? Maybe 1 or 2. But how many times did he pull it down and get only a 1-yard gain because he refused to force the ball and turn it over like Sorsby did? That's something he did really well today that not many people are going to give him credit for. But Nico really did a good job of just keeping the ball out of harm's way, and that really won the game for us. I don't know that Garrett does that. He's been very prone to turnovers this year. So I think Garrett has the higher ceiling compared to because of his running ability. But also he has the higher turnover potential. So, and then Nico, I think at this point is the safer option somehow. And like I said, if you could tell me Garrett is 100% healthy and he can take hits like he was doing against Oklahoma State and others, then fine, give me Garrett. I'll take it. Because because he can run tough. He can put his shoulder down and even run over people at his size. But unfortunately, his body just won't allow him to do that over the course of a year. It's the one thing that has held him back. And I hate it for him because I feel like he's given us his all. He waited. He was Neal's first recruit. And a lot of that is why I think he'll probably start next week. Like, I'm not saying he won't start. I think he'll probably get the nod because Nico didn't blow us away. But I'm just saying I think Nico should get the nod. So those are two different things. The game plan was really conservative as well. So that's another point that I think held him back just a little bit. But Cincinnati plays that Iowa State defense. It's really aggressive. It's tough. So I think we have to be fair with Nico and just say, look, he scored 2 touchdowns today. He had a running and a throwing touchdown. That's about on par with what Garrett gives us. It's not like we get a ton more with Garrett. So I think you continue to just give the keys to Nico, see where you end up at the end of the year. If you end up with 6-7 wins and you don't know let me ask you this. If Neal's coming back either way, would you rather know or still wonder what you have in Nico and then keep him and then find out next year that he's not the guy? Or would you rather find out over these next 3 games that he either is or isn't the guy and you look somewhere else? Maybe it's Ryder Burton. Maybe he's already on the roster. I don't know. But I just think it's that's just the way I feel about it. I think we have to find out what we've got if Neal's coming back. Like, the acceptance part of this is coming into play for me with Neal. So I have to accept the fact that he's probably coming back. So I know I repeated myself a couple times there, but I'm just working through this like you guys are. It's just it's wild to think that we're here, but here we are. We're 5-4. We're still in the race. We'll see what other teams do today. Maybe we can get some upsets, and here we are. West Virginia's in the driver's seat, maybe to even be in the conference title game this year. Who knows, man? Like, let's let it play out, even though it's a very, very long shot still. Let's see what happens. Up next on Locked On West Virginia, the defense played really big today. Jeff Koonz played really big today. Let's recap everything, and then we'll talk. This is Locked On West Virginia. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is brought to you in part by FanDuel, guys. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets, and that's if you win. FanDuel's sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view the live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page you place your bets. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. You'll get $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's at FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the National Football League. All right, guys, we are back. Thank you for joining me on this episode. Don't forget to like the video, guys, and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. We've grown almost 1,000 since we started with Locked On in October. Pretty dang good. I am excited about that. So I thought Hudson did play. Honestly, I didn't see much of him. I didn't see him out there today, but I just thought he didn't catch any balls. If he didn't play, then I'll rescind what I said about him not showing up. But honestly, I thought he just didn't catch anything. Yes. Yeah. Brown did call he had some bad calls today. I'll agree. Especially the play where Jaheim White and CJ Donaldson were in the backfield at the same time on either side of the quarterback. Hey, it was the first time we were right. The second time we went left, but it was the same play. Both of them got stopped for losses. That's just one I can remember. But got to give Koonz credit. I almost put him on the thumbnail because of the way the defense played. It was super impressive. They did a pretty good. I mean, look, these turnovers are turnovers we just wasn't getting under Jordan Leslie. So that's something to look forward to. Let's see what kind of game plan he puts together for Baylor next week, who's been putting up huge numbers here lately, guys. So I think that'll be something to watch. And let's hear what Neal Brown says after the game, who the quarterback's going to be. If he'll commit to anybody smartly, he probably shouldn't. Make them prepare for both. But I think Nico deserves to be the guy. Because the other thing we talked about was, hey, look, this probably solidifies that Neal's probably almost definitely safe unless they go 0-3 the rest of the way. So I think we have to consider that as well. Overall, it was a fun day. It was a great day to watch football. Missed it these last 2 weeks that we didn't have it, so I'm glad we got it back. Glad we got 3 more weeks. I mean, you got to be excited about that too. So grateful for that, guys. Thank you for joining me here. I don't have much else. I think it was a great win. West Virginia 31, Cincinnati 24. It was ugly, but it's a win, chicken din. We'll talk to you guys on Monday, guys. I'm going to take a day for myself tomorrow probably, unless we have some kind of breaking news. Thank you for joining me as always, and I'll see you next time. This episode's over. Thank you for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen. For your second listen, guys, make Locked On SEC your second listen, because Chris Gordy holds no punches covering the best conference in college football. Find Locked On SEC on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. This episode's over, and I'm out.